Hi guys, hi guys. I'm Sasikumar, and this is day 58 of improving my communication skills. And today I'm going to read the book that is The Art of Explanation by Ross Atkins. We have already covered one chapter, and we are in second chapter. So let's start with second chapter. Before starting the second chapter, let's recap of the first chapter, in which we have seen number of terms that 10 terms that we have to focus while speaking, while communicating with people, while giving the speech, while presenting anything. So first is simplicity. Simplicity, that means uh, is this the simplest way I can say this? Means whenever you are going to speak, then you ask to yourself, is this is the simplest way I can say this? Second one, essential details. What details is essential on on this explanation? Whenever we are talking to someone, so think about that. This is essential detail, or we are giving random data. So we have to think about that. Complexity. Are there elements of this subject I don't understand? So we have to be simple. We don't need to be complex anything. Efficiency. Is this the most succinct way I can say this? Means efficiency. We have think about that the words, that the sentence we are saying, that is the way that is efficient. Second one is precision. Am I saying exactly what I want to communicate? Sometimes we try to say something, and in mind there is something else, and we speak something else, something other. So we have to be precise what I want to say, what we are want to say, exactly that words we have to say. Context. Why does this matter to the people I am addressing? uh, think, if you are giving any speech to peoples, so you have which type of a speech you are giving to the people, they are really required, or they are coming here for the hearing those things. So that's matter, the context matter. uh, uh, which people you are addressing, that they can consume that speech or that part of context. So that the things. No distractions. Are there verbal, written, or visual distractions? In the presentation we have to put many images and all those things, so that distracts the people. So we have to take care about the distractions. We have to remove distraction part of our on our speech and on our presentation. Engaging. Are there moments when attention could waver? Sometimes, when any speakers comes in our college and anywhere, they speak. Sometimes, initially the initial of the speech, everyone listening carefully. But after sometimes, people distracted and making noise. So we have to means for that sometimes we have to reduce the frequency and all those things, and then come back to the some interesting points, so that people can engage on those speech and on those presentation. Useful. Have I answered the question that people have? We have to think about one more thing, that if we deliver something and people ask the question, so we are able to answer that questions or not. We have to think about that as well. Clarity of purpose. Whenever we are going to speak any things, we have clarity of purpose. Above all else, I'm trying to explain. Yes, that's the things. And in the second chapter, know your audience. So in which we have already read chapter 1, this part 1. So I'm going to read part 2. Knowledge assessment. On this subject, what do they know and what would they like to know? Of course, you aren't going to know the totally of totality of anyone's knowledge, nor gaps with it. However, we can make informed assessment of the level of knowledge within your audience. This gets harder and larger, and the more diverse that audience becomes, but it should not stop us trying. Even if the conclusion is that we know very little about the we are communicating with. It's a far better to go into that scenario fully aware of that. There will be some scenarios, for instance, to talk a group of colleagues who do the same jobs as you, where you can accurately access the level of knowledge. There will be others, such as presentation at a conference that is open to the public, where you know next to nothing about the people you are meeting or addressing. In this situation, I would ask questions in the meeting or presentations to help me better understand who they are. I can calibrate what I say according to what I am told. People will rarely mind you doing this. You are taking an interest in them and in making sure what you say is relevant to them. That's not going to cause offense. What can cause offense is if the information you are asking for is easily available. Then you are looking like you have not made an effort. Thinking about what your audience knows is important. Thinking about what they had lacked to know is vital too. We looked at the earlier in the case of my bushfire videos. But if I look back through the mist of time to a stint as a contributor of British Airways in radio, I definitely didn't ask myself this question. This was in the bygone era before smartphones, when if you didn't fancy the one film that was showing on the plane, you could plug in the headphone that come with a small tube of toothpaste and eye mask, and tune into a range of station which we are playing on a loop. One of them One of them was about culture. It was presented by the formidable John Wilson, who is still on BBC Radio 4. The idea was that I had picked out three cultural events around the world, and we had talked about them for 15 minutes. On the face of it, this was a simple proposition. Pick, pick the event, talk to John. For each edition, I would assemble to organize a vast amount of information about those events. But who was listening to me? People on a plane, only people on a plane, and were these people really listening for a detailed practical guide to what was happening at a particular event? If I had thought about it, the answer would have been absolutely not. Most of the listener wouldn't ever be in the country where the event was taking place. The slot just needed to be enjoyable, fun, descriptive, and easy to listen to. That was more important than cramming in every last piece of information on the on the practicality practicalities of the event. Cramping through was what I did. The subject were incredibly diverse. A, cher- a curry, a curry picking festival here, an international piano festival there, a Bahamian carnival next. I often think John wasn't quite sure what had hit him. One evening, I inflicted my 15-minute efforts on friend Joe. There is a lot in there, Paul, he noted dryly at the end. And indeed, there was far too much. In these early days, I lacked the confidence to leave information out. Something we will turn to later. If you if you were on those flights, I can only apologize if it was a bit much. If we can better understand what our audience knows and wants, we want better judge what information is most relevant and helpful to them, with all the benefits that come with me. Third, tailor it. How do how do they lack to receive information? How do they lack to receive information? On a macro scale, the BBC and many other organizations have audience research that can details how people of different age and backgrounds consume information and products. The content they produce for one group or another can be shaped by that knowledge. If these are Marco's considerations for organizations and business communicating with large number of people, you might not think we needed to make the same calculation on a personal level, but to give our explanation the best chance we do. To not use every available piece of information about how your intended audience like to receive information is missed trick. You risk having the right message but offering it in the wrong way. Here is one example from an important moment in my career. Example, from 2013 to 2018, James Harding was a director of BBC News. He was a high energy presence in the office, sleeves always rolled up, shirt open one more button than most would go. Very much of this own mind. He was a man who engaged with you intensely, but whose attention you could easily lose. As one of colleagues put it, James is charging ahead and then look over his shoulder to see if the BBC has caught him up. Not always was the answer to that. BBC News employ thousands of people and one-on-one meeting with the director of news is very rare. However, in 2014, I inquired if I could get a meeting with James because I needed help changing my presenting commitments. I also wanted to evangelize about how I thought we could be streaming new tabs of news programming. This meeting was put in the diary. 15 minutes, fair enough. The director of news is very busy. I prepared two short presentations on each subject. I practiced each, and as I did, I thought back to previous interactions I had and James and how I had observed him in meeting. He was very quick to pick up points and would briskly move the conversation on if he felt he had understood what was being said. Having considered what I knew, I discarded some of what I had and practiced my presentations again. Each time asking what each time asking whether what was left was essential. By the time the meeting came, I had 45 seconds on my work communicate on my work commitments and 90 seconds on streaming. Towards the end of the 90, I could feel James wanting to speak. Within a few weeks, a shift in my commitments was agreed as what further support to stream with a streaming. This was a scenario where I had really thought through who I was speaking to, what detail was needed and what wasn't, how long I would have and where I was most vulnerable to losing my audience attention. On this occasion, it paid off. Whether Marco or personal, the more we assess how people refer to consume information, the better we can tailor how we explain ourselves. The better we tailor how we explain ourselves. Okay. The better our chance of the better our chance of that explanation engaging our audience. The better the engagement, the better the chance of explaining explanation being understood. Already, then we have considered who we are talking to, what they do and don't know on this subject, and how they lack information to be provided. Next, we want to make sure that our explanation is for them in particular. Fourth, hi Jarvis. Fourth, make it personal. How best can you convey that this information is for them? If you think something is for you, you are much more likely to pay it attention. We live in a world where a tsunami of information is coming at us from the moment we wake. Inevitably, we are constantly and often unconsciously making decisions about what information to give our attentions to and which to ignore or at the least not probably engage with. This is the context to all of our efforts to communicate. When I met James Harding, he was for a few minutes late. He was for a few minutes at least a captive audience. But this is the expectation. Most of the time, We are constantly competing for people's attention. One of the most effective ways of getting that attention is to make your intent audience realize that what you have is for them. Let's take email as an example. The volume of emails that many of us receive is a problem. Working through your inbox can feel like a job in and of itself. But while there is a plethora of other ways to communicate with each other, email remains dominant in many aspects of working world, and many of us used to use it. However, the more emails people receive, the lower the chance of them reading the one from you. Ho- This is an ever increasing problem for companies. The attention a staff can give to each piece of communication is inevitably dropping as the volume increase. I raise all this because my efforts to get replies to email to do really make a difference to the work I am doing. And those efforts have shown me when dynamic which applies far beyond our inbox. I keep it in mind whenever I am explaining myself. It's this: if someone feels you are talking to them, they are far more likely to engage and respond. Equally, if someone feels you are communicating with a group but not particularly with them, they pay less attention and are less likely to respond. You may know that the old saying about working meeting. If these meetings, Ooh, thank you, Jarvis. Thank you, bye. Thank you. Actually, I'm going somewhere at 11:35. That's why I'm doing this session earlier, as I was not doing anything else in our whole day, means except studying, means no classes, no labs, no events. So that's why I'm doing this thing earlier. And in the at 11:35, I have to go somewhere to participate in quiz. So that's why I'm doing this session earlier. Okay. You may know the old saying about working meeting. If these meetings could happen without me, I shouldn't be here. There is something related to that with group email. If someone feels they could not reply and there would be no particular consequence, they probably not. They will decide consequently or obtain subconsciously. Someone else will pick this up. Having observed this becoming more and more pronounced in the late 2010, I started to think what I could do about it. I am aware what I read this that admitting you are someone who thinks about how to better allocate replies to email doesn't make me sound like great company on a Saturday night. Hear me out. On the face of it, this is really not something to set the blood racing. But for me, while I was trying to get various ideas of the ground, getting replies to email, especially replies that really engaged with the content of the emails, made a huge difference to a success of or otherwise of what I was doing. I decided to try an experiment instead of making the subject of the email something like our budget or marketing query or plans or for the conference next week. Instead, I wrote the person's name, hi Dinah, hi Sachin, hi Andrew, and so on. More often, more often than not, it works. Before the person had even opened the mail, they knew it was from me and it was for them. I will talk more broadly about short written communication on a page 282. Okay, I will read. For now, for now though, the lesson here is to always think about how to communicate, how to make it clear or explanation is personally tailored for it recipient. Mhm. I can finish. Okay. Hmm. One second. Let's check. I'm going to an TVC electron quiz, and the theme of the event, anything and everything from the world of movement. Candles glowing, your beauty's true. Every wish you dream, I'll make for you. Happy birthday, my love, my soul's a prayer. Okay, don't want to be distracted. Okay, so guys, what I can do? Let's say, I have to check now. Hi guys. Hi guys. Um, so it's just which company is currently the world most valuable company by market capitalization? Capitalization. Apple, its current rate. Who is known as the founder of Tata Group? Jamsetji Tata. NTPC is primarily involved in which sector? Power generation. Which global companies own Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger? Meta platform, formerly known as Facebook. What does GDP stand for? Gross domestic product. Which company is famous for the slogan "Just Do It"? Nike. The headquarters of the World Bank is located in which city? Washington, D.C., which is known as the father of scientific management. Frederick Winslow Taylor. SWOT stands for Strength, Weakness, Opportunity, and Threats. Okay. Who developed the hierarchy of needs motivated motivational theory? Who developed the hierarchy of needs motivational theory? Abraham Maslow. In management, KPI stand for key performance indicator. Okay. The marketing mix is commonly referred to as 4 P's. 4PS product 4PS. Marketing mix is commonly referred to as 4PS: product, price, promotion and place. Okay, finance and economy. Which currency is used the world primary. Okay, which currency is used as the world's primary reserve currency? US dollar. Sensex belongs to which India stock exchange? BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange. Which global institute published the Ease of Doing Business Index? World Bank. What is the term used for a market where prices are continuously falling? Bear market. Bear market. Okay. IPO stand for initial public offering. Okay. Who is the CEO of Microsoft as of 2025? Satya Nadella. Which company created the world's first smartphone? IBM. Simon Simon Personal Communicator, 1995. Blockchain technology is mainly associated with which type of digital asset? Cryptocurrency. CRM software is mainly used for managing what? CRM software is mainly used for managing what? Customer relationship. Which brand used as a panda as its logo? Panda as logo. WWF World Wide Fund. Oh, which automobile company manufactured the model Fortuner? Toyota. 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 Connecting people was the tagline. Connecting people. Connecting people was the tagline of which mobile brand? Nokia. Oh yeah, the handshake. Handshake. The golden arches are associated with which fast food chain? McDonald's. Yeah. Who is the founder of SpaceX? Elon Musk. Who founded the Indian coffee chain Cafe Coffees Day (CCD)? VG VG Siddhartha. Yeah, that Cafe Coffee Day. That is a step. I have seen that coffee center, coffee cafe coffee in Hyderabad, IIT Hyderabad. Which Indian business leader wrote the autobiography? Oh, which Indian business leader wrote the autobiography of Wings of Fire? Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Case studies and trend. The term unicorn startup refers to a privately held company valued to more than how many billion dollars? $1 billion. Which company is considered the pioneer of subscription based OTT streaming? Netflix. Who is the CEO of Tesla? Elon Musk. Which country does the brand Samsung belong to? South Korea. Which does what does HR stand for? Human Resources. Which company makes the iPhones? Apple. Who wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad? Robert Kiyosaki. Which what is Amazon Cloud's computing platform called? AWS. Which Indian company owns Geo? Reliance Industry. Which is the author of the concept Blue Ocean Strategy? W. Chan Kim and Rene Marborgni. Which company used the tagline "Think Different"? Apple. What does CEO stand for? Chief Executive Officer. Which businessman figure in one known as the Oracle of Omaha? Warren Buffett. In market, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. Which companies own YouTube? Google, Alphabet. Which Indian startup became the first digital payment giant? Paytm. What does ROE, return of investment, return on investment? So, what do you, what do we call a company with valuation over 10 billion? Decron, unicorn, Decron. The BCG matrix classifies product as a star, cash cost, dogs, and question mark. Which famous management guru wrote the practice of management? Peter Drucker. What is the currency of Japan? Yen. What do you call a legally protected brand name? Trademarks. Which type of market has one seller and many buyer? Monopoly. One seller, many buyer. Who co-founded Infosys? Who is co-founded Infosys? Infosys. N.R. Narayana Murthy. Which e-commerce company was founded by Jeff Bezos? Amazon. What is the interest charged by borrowing money called loan interest or cost of capital? Which which term describes a strategic partnership between two companies? Joint venture. Okay, guys. So that's the things. Today we have read few chapter, two topics, and also cover 30 to 50 questions on NTPC electron quiz. So that's the things we are. I'm going to prepare. I am going to prepare myself to visit NTPC electron quiz. So thank you guys. Thank you. Bye bye. Next day. See you next day.